A young mother vanishes without warning. Her daughter, just 7 years old, wakes up alone. Her phone is still in the house. Her bed is made. There's no sign of a struggle, and yet, something feels terribly wrong. This is the case of Lizzbeth Aleman-Popoca. It was the morning of July 1st, 2020, when Astrid, Lizzbeth's daughter, realized her mother was missing. She had fallen asleep the night before in her mom's bed, but when she woke up, the bed was empty and made. Most haunting of all, her phone was still inside the apartment. Astrid called her father, Jonathan, who was finishing up an overnight shift at UPS. Instead of racing home, Jonathan brushed it off, thinking maybe Lizzbeth had stepped out. When he finally got home around 10 a.m., he called Lizzbeth's sister, Janeth, and asked the question that changed everything. "Do you know where your sister is?" It wasn't a casual call. Jonathan rarely contacted Janeth directly. His tone was strange, his words rehearsed. He claimed Lizzbeth was missing and had left Astrid home alone. He also said she took her passport and $10,000 from their shared safe. At first glance, it sounded like Lizzbeth had taken off, but to Janeth, that story made no sense. Lizzbeth loved her daughter deeply. She would never leave her alone, not even for a few hours. And if she'd planned to go somewhere, why leave her phone behind? It wasn't just uncharacteristic. It was alarming. As the hours passed, concern turned to dread. Astrid made a chilling remark. She told her aunt she was going to live with her now. A strange thing for a child to say, unless she somehow sensed the permanence of the moment. Behind the scenes, there was a history the outside world couldn't see. Lizzbeth and Jonathan had been together since high school. To outsiders, they looked like a couple making it work, but inside their home, things were different. Jonathan had cheated on her repeatedly. He was controlling. And in May, just weeks before she vanished, Lizzbeth showed up at her sister's house with visible injuries. Her arm in a sling, fingers bruised and swollen. She said it was from a fight with Jonathan. That was the turning point. After years of staying for Astrid's sake, Lizzbeth was ready to leave. She began designing stickers and decals, trying to build an independent income. She even applied for her own apartment in the same complex where her sister lived. But leaving a toxic relationship is the most dangerous time for a victim, and in Lizzbeth's case, it may have been the moment her fate was sealed. Jonathan's behavior grew increasingly erratic. He floated stories about Lizzbeth being depressed, using substances, even cheating with a man named Jose, but none of it fit the woman Janeth knew. Meanwhile, Jonathan seemed disturbingly calm, even as he began arranging for custody of Astrid. By July 3rd, Lizzbeth's father, Albino, had enough. He called police to file a missing persons report. Just before they were supposed to head to the station, both he and Janeth received text messages that claimed to be from Lizzbeth. The number was unfamiliar and based in Florida. The texts were awkwardly written, as if someone were trying to mimic her speech. They said things like, "I just need space," and "Don't worry about me." But when they tried to call, no one picked up. Jonathan conveniently got the same text at the exact same time. He insisted she had run off with someone and would return someday for Astrid. To him, that was the end of the story, but to her family, it was only the beginning. They began digging. They learned Jonathan had been driving her car after claiming it was missing. Surveillance footage caught him moving the Lexus multiple times. He even sprayed air freshener in the trunk and later tried to trade the car on Facebook Marketplace. That was all they needed to hear. They confronted him directly, and Jonathan changed his story again. Now, he claimed Lizzbeth had gone to Mexico. It was a bizarre twist that raised more questions than answers, and when pressed, he admitted he had parked her car near a relative's home without telling anyone. Police recovered the car. Cadaver dogs hit on the trunk. A single blue fiber found inside matched the blanket Lizzbeth would later be discovered wrapped in. Surveillance footage showed Jonathan spending an hour in the parking lot of a restaurant where he worked. It was there, 2 weeks later, that police would uncover Lizzbeth's body. She'd been asphyxiated, bruised, and buried under a door behind the dumpsters. Even with this evidence, prosecutors hesitated. They wanted more, a confession, a witness, anything irrefutable. Meanwhile, Jonathan remained free, seeing Astrid under supervision, living his life as if nothing had happened. Eventually, police connected the dots. The fake phone number used to text her family was linked to Jonathan by name and email. Cell tower data placed him at key locations. They recovered web searches on how to fold down the back seat of her Lexus, likely to fit her body. And crucially, Astrid herself said that on the morning of her mom's disappearance, her own bedroom door was locked. She believed her mother might have been inside. Police believe Jonathan killed Lizzbeth in the early hours of July 1st. He hid her body, likely in their daughter's room, before moving it to her trunk and eventually to the restaurant. He sent fake texts, lied to her family, and tried to erase evidence, all while pretending to be the victim. In December 2020, Jonathan was finally arrested. In February 2024, after years of legal wrangling, he pled guilty to murder. He was sentenced to 25 years in prison, with deportation to follow. Lizzbeth's family says it's not enough. They're left to raise Astrid, to live with the trauma, and to fight for awareness about intimate partner violence. Lizzbeth's story is not unique. In 2020 alone, nearly 47,000 women and girls were killed by a partner or family member. That's 1 every 11 minutes. By the time you finish this video, several more may have lost their lives. If you liked the video, please press the like button and subscribe, and check out other videos on our channel.